Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Today, we're diving into something that can truly transform your language learning journey: how to think in English.
Yes, translating everything in your head can be really draining, and it often slows you down. So today we'll be sharing some powerful techniques that can help you start thinking directly in English. It might feel challenging at first, but we promise that with time, these techniques can make your English practice smoother and more natural.
Exactly. We've all been there, stumbling through our native language to English translations, and it can be frustrating. So if you want to break free of that habit, stay with us because we've got some great tips that will make a big difference. Let's start with a question many people have. How do you even begin thinking in English, Lily? It sounds like a big challenge for beginners.
It does sound challenging, but the truth is, it all starts with building simple habits. One of the most effective ways to get started is to describe your surroundings in English. You don't need to overthink it, just make it simple. Look around and try to describe what you see. The sky is clear. The dog is barking. I'm eating an apple. These little phrases might not seem like much, but they add up over time.
That's such a good point. A lot of people think they have to make these long, complex sentences to practice effectively, but it's really the small steps that matter. And speaking of small steps, another method I've found useful is visual thinking. Instead of translating the word tree from your native language to English, just picture a tree and immediately associate the English word with the image. This creates a direct connection in your brain, which is a lot faster and more effective.
Absolutely. And another thing I recommend is having mini conversations with yourself throughout the day. I know it sounds a little funny, but it really does help. For example, ask yourself questions like, "What should I cook for dinner?" And then answer it, all in English. It might feel weird at first, but it helps build fluency and confidence. It's like you're practicing without any pressure.
Exactly. And it's great because there's no fear of being judged when you're just talking to yourself. You can make as many mistakes as you need to and keep improving. I also think journaling is a fantastic tool. When you write down your thoughts in English, you're practicing formulating those ideas without relying on your native language. Even just a paragraph a day can go a long way. Immersion is a big deal. It's like when you were a kid. You learned your native language because you were surrounded by it. We can recreate that experience even if we're not in an English-speaking country. And there are so many resources now, like online communities where you can practice, change your phone settings to English, or even talk to a language partner.
Yes, and what's really nice about journaling is that it also helps you track your progress. Plus, it allows you to see how your thought process in English evolves over time. And of course, surrounding yourself with as much English content as possible is super important. You could listen to podcasts, watch movies or TV shows in English, and even use English subtitles if you're not quite comfortable listening without them. It creates this immersive environment, which is incredibly helpful.
That's true. It's all about building muscle memory, but for your mind. And on top of that, I think it's really helpful to be mindful of your thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking in your native language, try to gently switch to English, even if it's just for a few seconds. The key is not to stress out about it, but to slowly train your brain to make that switch more often.
Yes, and for those who don't have anyone to practice with, repeating words or phrases to yourself can be really powerful. For instance, If you hear a new word, say it out loud a few times and use it in sentences throughout the day. It helps reinforce that word, and soon enough, it'll come to your mind naturally.
I love that mindset. No one should expect perfection from themselves, especially when learning a new skill like this. The goal is to be comfortable enough to make mistakes and learn from them. Another thing that helps is focusing on topics that you're passionate about. It's easier to think in English when you're talking about something that genuinely interests you, whether it's cooking, music, sports, or technology. When you're passionate about the subject, the language starts flowing more naturally.
Exactly. And patience is key. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process, and every small step forward matters. It's okay to switch back and forth at first. The more you practice, the more natural it will become. And mistakes are part of learning. They're actually beneficial because they teach you what you need to improve.
And it's amazing how those small efforts can build up over time. Before you know it, you'll find that thinking in English feels a lot less forced and a lot more natural. I also think it's important to celebrate those small victories. If you manage to think in English for even a couple of minutes, that's progress. And don't forget to make it enjoyable. Language learning shouldn't feel like a chore. If you love movies, watch them in English. If you love cooking, try reading recipes in English. When you connect learning with something you enjoy, it becomes a rewarding part of your daily life, rather than just another task.
Surroundings, meaning the area around you or the environment you are in. Journaling, meaning writing your thoughts, feelings, or daily events in a notebook or diary. Fluency, meaning the ability to speak a language easily and smoothly. Reinforce, meaning to make something stronger or more effective, like repeating something to remember it better. Immersive, meaning deeply involving or surrounding you completely, such as being in an environment where only English is spoken. Strategies, meaning plans or methods developed to achieve a particular goal. Consistent, meaning acting in the same way over time without changing. Mindset, meaning the way you think or your attitude about something.
So today, we covered a lot of ground about how to start thinking in English. Remember, it's all about building small, consistent habits. Describe your surroundings, visualize words, have mini conversations with yourself, and keep a journal. Surround yourself with English as much as possible, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Most importantly, stay patient, stay consistent, and celebrate every small victory along the way. Learning to think in English is a gradual process, and it's different for everyone. Find what works for you, keep practicing, and make it fun. Whether it's connecting it to a hobby or finding a study partner, there's always a way to make learning enjoyable. We'd love to hear from you. What methods are you already using to practice thinking in English? Or do you have any techniques we haven't mentioned today? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if there's a particular topic you'd like us to discuss in our next episode, let us know. Your feedback is incredibly valuable, and we're always looking for ways to make our content more helpful for you. Thanks for tuning in today, and we can't wait to hear about your progress. Keep practicing, keep smiling, and we'll see you next time.